I'm Andy Shaw. I'm an architect based in Dubai, been in the region for over 15 years now and worked in projects in Saudi for almost the same period of time. Managing partner of a practice called AMA, based in Dubai, mainly doing hotels and residential, and also the chair of the RIBA, Royal Institute of British Architects, Gulf chapter, where we try and steer the conversation and build a community around design and construction in the region.
Thanks, Andy. Christine?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Christine, Associate Director at Godwin Austin Johnson, and I lead the architecture department together with my colleagues and the directors. My portfolio spans from hospitality projects, cultural destinations, master plans, and even designing islands. So in our company, I'm the one who does hand sketches. I think I'm one of the few, very few. But at the same time, I'm also using AI to enhance my presentation. So I might say I'm in between the tradition and also this future. Thanks.
Thanks for sharing that, Christine. Hazem, on to you.
Hello, I'm Hazem El-Zaro, the founder and principal architect in Zaro Architects. We have 3 studios, basically 2 in Egypt, El Gouna, Cairo, and in Dubai, in D3. We focus mostly on concept and schematic scheme designs, stages, and we work across multidisciplines, many skills. We've done hospitality, healthcare. We also lately designed islands, so 2 only so far. So very excited for the topic today. It's a hot topic, and indeed want to hear my fellow panelists.
Thank you. Yasmin?
Hello, nice to meet you all and looking forward for this panel. I'm Yasmin Mamlouk, an interior designer at Gensler. I've been in the kingdom for 5 years now, and most of our work focuses on hospitality, mixed use, offices, and cities. I'm an interior designer, so I work more in hospitality and work offices. Yeah.
Thanks, Yasmin. Christopher, on to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Chris Waits. I'm one of the directors at ADAS in Dubai. I've been in the region relatively a short period of time, just 18 months, so this is all very new and very exciting to me. Nice to meet you all.
Cool. It's so good to have you here. Lots of different experience and a wealth of knowledge on the stage. Let's see where we get in this conversation. I'm not going to ask you if we're going to lose our jobs because of AI. I think we've been there, done that, right? But let's take it to this one. So AI is often misunderstood and misrepresented in the industry, seen as a threat rather than a human-made tool. And this actually came from you, Andy. While I was preparing for the talks, this came to the conversation. And I thought that we often forget to look at it as a human-made tool. We always think of it as something that is bigger than us, right? So maybe we can start with this question for you, Andy. How do we reframe it as something that can enhance creativity instead of replace it?
But the name doesn't really help because it makes it sound like it is a sort of alien, other being intelligence that you're competing with, when I see it really as another human-made tool in the history of tools that change and improve the way you work in good ways and bad ways, but is also kind of inevitable. So it's about managing how we use it. And I think then it's up to us to kind of show how it can be used, in how we use it and how we communicate using it. And I think avoid positioning it as a kind of threat or alternate, but something you really use. At the same time, it takes over a lot of tasks, which is separate from creativity. It does take over a lot of tasks. So when tasks get replaced by technology, you've got to think, where is that labor, where is the revenue coming from as a creative and a businessman, as things reorganize around the new tool.
What's your favorite way? Maybe we can all shine a light on this. What's your favorite way to use AI? What's your favorite tool or your go-to? Something that really freed up so much time because you can use AI for this?
So I think, so for me, we in Gensler have our AI tool, which is G-Diffusion. We collaborated with Stable Diffusion, which basically generates visuals. And for me, when we speak about AI, I think to continue after what Andy said, that it amplifies creativity rather than replacing it. So for me, AI can generate visuals faster and make us let us test visuals also more efficiently. So this is how we use it actually to free up some time and for some precision as well.
For us, with Godwin Austin Johnson, for me personally, use ChatGPT. Why not? Because that's the very first free AI that you can use, very accessible, and it's used in different ways. I use it to learn a language. For example, I wanted to learn Arabic. I use ChatGPT to learn myself some Arabic. My children speaks Arabic, but I wanted to understand them, so I use it. And there are some also emails that it helps me out as well to narrate what I wanted to say. It also codes for me. You can use ChatGPT to code something to add into the program, Grasshopper or Rhino. That's it. It's a powerful tool. It's not replacing me, but it enhances. I am the vision behind it. I am prompting it, and it creates something for me. It's like having a cheeky intern on my side, or someone that creates 10,000 options for me to utilize.
I would agree with that. I mean, what a great time to be in the creative industry, to be a designer, to have this. I mean, if I'd had Midjourney at university, I'd still be there. You know, it's still playing. You know, it's amazing that once you engage with some of these platforms, it's remarkable. And we have at ADAS a lot of teams that are fully focused on AI, use of AI, and what they create in a matter of moments is staggering. So I think we should be, to Andy's point, we should be positive about the current position. Where this goes, you know, it depends what podcast you listen to, I guess, as to whether it's good or bad, or But
Hassan, did you want to say something?
It's a very interesting question, because basically the most important thing in Zaro for AI was research. We started very early on. It helped us a lot. We've been working on a master plan in Guinea-Bissau. We wanted to travel to Guinea-Bissau. It wasn't an option at the time. How to understand the culture, how to feel, to understand the people when we survey with them, where to understand how they live day to day. And later on, it evolved a little bit into the environmental studies and checking things before we go to consultants like sustainability and so on. And the most important, I love Midjourney. I spend so much hours using it myself. Then lately, the sketch-to-image options in all the AI engines, it is like magic. You keep on sketching, you love sketching yourself, you do the sketches and you explore how many variations that can happen with that. I think this is magic. It cuts a lot of corners, but yet gives us a lot more time to work on projects.
Cool.
I do worry about sketching, because I think that's something that might be under pressure long term. The ability to sketch, the ability to think through a design using a pencil or a pen on a piece of paper, I think that is something that, you know, even in the past couple of years, I've seen people do less and less at their desks. You know, the younger staff in the office, you know, you don't see that as much. And I, like you, I like a sketch. It's the way I communicate. And I've got a feeling that, you know, as more and more graduates come out of universities, that skill, that art will be lost.
Yeah. We can talk about education a little bit. You know, when you were talking about the visuals, it made me giggle a little bit, because this morning I was preparing for my talk and then I opened my phone and I was on Instagram and I saw this meme, and it says humans and AI working together. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but probably after we speak about it, everybody will get this meme now. So, and they're shaking hands and there's like 3 hands and 2 arms and it's just like gone completely wrong. But on the sketching and the human aspect of things, so I'm classically schooled, right? So every Friday we had 8 hours of still life drawing. That's how we do it in the Netherlands, right? So I'm also thinking, and coming back to ChatGPT, you need to be almost a linguist. And I love ChatGPT, but sometimes my prompts are an A4 page long to get it right. And then, you know, I love to do a good deep research and come back to it the next morning, you know. So I had prepared this question on education. Yeah, here we go. So how can education and training evolve, in your view, to prepare the next generation of designers to use, I wrote down technology, but AI as a creative partner rather than a crutch?
I think like the generation nowadays have a privilege for using AI. We didn't have. I'm not that old, but I didn't have this privilege back then, almost 12 years ago. But I think it's the harmony between both. So basically, technical master, basically being a master in all of these technical tools, yet preserving what we should be talking about as well, the emotional, the space being emotionally rich, contextual, sensitive, and human empathy. So I think when we like the harmony between the two is like the perfect scenario and the best practice. So yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of education, I think students or those who are studying now should be able to utilize it. Utilize it, but make sure they have their innate skill with them. As Chris mentioned, more and more students graduating, there's a worry about them graduating and losing the skills, that the human aspect of designing. That part where you do the sketching, you do the thinking, you do the storytelling, those things are not captured by AI. AI would do the data, algorithm. What I think for the students is to be able to have to keep their innate human skill, but also learn the language of AI. Why? Is because you don't want to be like anyone else's, similar to any algorithm. You have, as an architect, you have to have your identity in every aspect that you do. So having that tool, enhancing whatever skill they have, is an advantage for them. And I think it has to be both. It's as she mentioned, it's harmony. It's like learning how to play the music and writing the verse yourself, or even playing the music and singing it yourself.
It's not the skills I'm worried about, it's the knowledge. Because AI allows you to jump from limited knowledge, or almost zero knowledge, to actually good present. I mean, I could write a pretty good novel now, music, anything, without having actually the deep knowledge or skills and get away with it, kind of. So a student can now make a building and present it, but they don't actually know how a plan works.
Yeah.
And they don't know what about constructability and other things that you learn. You start learning in university, and then actually you learn through working as well over the years. So I'm worried that by short-circuiting that process, there's a bit of a gap of knowledge. And that means kind of reconfiguring practice as well as education to make sure that people going through university and starting work, they actually learn how buildings really work and are put together, and not just to produce the drawings and images which communicate a building.
Very good point.
I'd agree with that. I mean, you can even see it before AI was here in CAD or in MicroStation or in the 2D. People are drawing lines on a screen, and they do it for a certain period of time, and it becomes just that, just drawing patterns or drawing lines. So I think, we have an obligation to the industry to guide and to make sure that knowledge is passed, because those sketches, like you're saying, is how you think about, is that corridor really going to be that wide? Is that really going to be that long? Is that the right place for that use? How is that going to feel? So the immediacy of AI, like you're saying, is something that we've got to be careful with.
Yeah.
We were talking with Andy before the panel started about how professors did not allow us at the time we were studying to use CAD softwares, and how this created a big gap of handicap when we were out in the market. The thing is, I believe people have to study AI, and that they have to study how to be responsible and how to build a dialogue. I love what you said now about it, you jump from zero knowledge to expert level, a PhD level in a couple of seconds. The thing is how to create the dialogue between you and the machine, where you get to learn. We as architects and designers, we study. If you're doing a hospital, designing a hospital, you have to talk to the patients, you have to talk to the people, you have to visit the operation rooms. I remember I've done this in a very unfortunate hospital. At some point I came out crying. This empathy and the dialogue between the human and the machine has to be maintained. Yeah. This is basically what I would love to see for the students of architecture.
You're totally right. You have to embrace it. it's not going to change. It's not going anywhere. It's only going to get more and more prevalent in what we do. So
Exactly. Otherwise, the gap will be massive.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we talk about, all this knowledge you can technically plug into any super brain on any subject. So if we have this tool to outperform humans, right, in many tasks with both positive and negative outcomes, how should designers in particular prepare for this shift?
By focusing on things that AI can't do. I think that's the right way. For if AI can do the super thinking, do 10,000 options, but what AI doesn't have is the experience. AI doesn't have its own history. AI cannot AI cannot duplicate the feeling that you get when you walk in a place and you feel that sudden happiness or sadness. It's like having AI can pitch in 10,000 options, just like how Spotify will have 500 music lists, but it's us who select which one moves us. That's how it is. So I think once we focus on the things that AI can't do, that elevates us. But that doesn't mean that we have to let go of understanding AI, because it's also like learning a new language wherein you just amplify it. You learn a new language so that your reach will be understandable in many languages. You keep your accents, but then learn how to speak. So that it is for me.
I'd like to bring something as well, that AI helps in a lot of things, but how do you define architecture? How do you define design in general? Is it the aesthetic of the building? Is it only the sustainable element of the building? Or is it how people will live there? If you approach the project or space, if you're designing interior design, if you think of the family growing here or how people will surf through and understand the essence of that, I think this is something AI can help you understand quicker, but it can never have a course or live the life itself. There's so many examples, I'm sure, with everyone, where you changed and learned something new because you're excited because you're building a surf club or a sailing center or a hotel that is on an island. There's plenty here. How long do you get on a boat to get to this island? How do you feel about it? AI will say, boom, you're there. Nobody will feel it, how you will be approaching the project unless it's a human, in a way.
So I think here what AI still lacks is that it sometimes gives you outcomes that are not human-centered, that are not contextually sensitive, or even like speaking about emotional architecture, that are not emotionally rich. So here, as designers and humans, it's our role to how to feed the AI and how to narrate the prompt and the script in order to get an outcome that is not only functional, but yet true and real to life, basically, and real.
So do you think that in the near future or far, maybe AI is able to help designers create more emotionally resonant, sensory-rich spaces rather than stripping them of their essence?
Actually, I think like technology will help us amplify by designing with emotions and not stripping it away. It helps us thrive. So I don't think it will remove, it will not basically overcome definitely the humans, as it doesn't have emotions. It's still a machine. It still processes information. It doesn't have a human empathy. So that's why I think it's very hard for the machine to overcome human empathy, specifically.
It is a tool, but I mean, if you look at the movie industry, for example, what AI is doing there is it's almost there. It's this close to creating movies, Hollywood blockbuster movies, without the set, without the actors, and it evokes emotion. The script, the lighting, the whole set of what AI is generating in that industry it's pretty, it's pretty good. It's almost there. So in terms of portraying emotion, it's going to come.
I think we see some pretty shocking or disrupting examples, right? There was also that ad, I think it was placed in Vogue Belgium, which was an advertisement of a model showcasing a bag, and there was no stylist, no clothing, no set, no nothing, and I think that really made us think about what it does for the profession. So here's another question. AI can already generate novels, films, artworks, and graphic design from well-crafted prompts. So is it close to being able to produce full building design data sets from a single brief? And what will this mean for the profession? This is from you, Andy, so I'm going to give it back to you.
Well, I think already you could definitely do a whole pre-concept design purely by prompting now. In the image, get your plan from that, probably even get it into a report and a PowerPoint, write the email to send, everything. And then the next part of getting into more coordination, documentation, I don't think that's that far away either. That's probably a few years away. And then specification writing, that's quite easy to imagine AI reassembling data out there and organizing it. So quite a lot of but that, to me, that's the documentation production role of architecture, which actually takes up a lot of the time and the costs of an office. So there's still the people have to steer all this and navigating the world of people to make a building come out into the world. But I think we're actually so you can already do certainly a pre-concept and many types of reports and things and studies pretty much all by prompting if you wanted to. Most people are using other tools to augment it, but if you want to, could. And I think it's going to come more and more so that the documentation production side of architecture is really, really sped up through AI, leaving the other elements to be managed and become kind of the part of the industry.
Any other thoughts on it?
Well, I hope it helps us with BIM. For me,
I'm sure Autodesk are working on it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think nobody knows if it's ever going to replace us. It could be a couple of years or it could be a couple of seconds. The thing is, I keep always thinking about the big companies, that the hundreds of architects that work. My practice is a very small practice, and we have a lot of agility. What are people going to do in big practices? This is a question that I always think about. Adas, you are a lot of people. How do you infuse this in the processes? That's a question I don't know if anybody has an answer for, and nobody knows what AI is going to be doing eventually.
I think that's it. I think nobody knows what's it going to be like in 2 years, 5 years. I mean, I look at my children. I think, my eldest is getting to a point where iPads and social media. Let's try and keep that at bay. But 5 years' time, what's he going to be doing? You just don't know in terms of the engagement with AI, and then you go down the rabbit hole of artificial general intelligence and so on and so on. So it's very, very difficult to crystal ball it as a big practice. But what we are doing, I think you mentioned it earlier, is embracing it now, doing lots of research and development, understanding how it can help efficiencies, whether it's visuals, animations, or Excel spreadsheets. You've got to try and make it a tool across the board.
Can I ask you maybe a more personal thing? As a father, do you think that education is ready for, because we all say, like, we don't know where this goes, and I think this is exactly what keeps all of us like so much on our toes, right? So then when we talk about like your kids, my kids, our kids going to school, and I'm only worried about how are they going to train them, how are they going to prepare them for things they're going to see, and I'm also thinking, all this super technology, AI, whatever, will this make us superhumans? Is this the next step in evolution? I'm just saying this because I remember when Photoshop came out, for example, right? The first time. And we had to train our eye, and the first time we were like, oh, wow, this is incredible. And then we're like, no, this is Photoshop. So you get to see all the little details, the nuances. So we train our eye to become more, superhumans. Are we going to look at AI generated? We loved all the eye candy, but now we're a little bit, tired of it, because anything is possible, right? So then back to my question: do you think that education will ever be able to keep up with this?
I don't think so. I'm just while you were talking there, I was trying to think of a tangible example of the experience on a personal level going through with the children. And one of the things that I realised a few weeks ago is my kids can't read a map. They've got no understanding of a north point, a scale bar, a map, because they've never ever had to use one.
Yeah.
They've just gone on Google, and it tells them where to go. And you know that to me is a tangible example of where things are going to go. You know, in 3, 4, 5 years' time, they just because they won't need to do something, it will be removed from life.
Yeah.
Over time.
I can add it on this. My children goes to a school that have developed their own AI, and this is used in such a way that it tests. It's used in homeworks. When they respond to, it's like training them out of once they do the class, and then what it does is it analyzes what the kid can do and how the kid can be challenged more. So maybe AI is something that we should be open and should not be worried that the kids are using. It's not that they're using it to be lazy and not to do their own research. They do research. We have to remember that behind AI, there's a human who prompted it. There's a human who controls what the AI will do, what the AI will be visioning. So in terms of education, that's how the school uses it. And I know in the UAE, the leadership in the UAE has established that AI should be utilized as soon as possible. Maybe for us, since we're not trained and we were not educated using AI, it's some sort of a shock. But with the students and the younger kids, that this is part of their generation, it comes normal to them. And what they can do with something that's normal to them is enhance it. And they'll be using it far better than how we are using AI.
Andy.
I'm going to say two positive things. I actually think, slightly off topic, but I think AI's biggest impact on the world will be education, because in a few decades, like the base level of education of all of humanity is going to be what's probably kind of quite a high level now. And it's like going from having no books to having a printing press. There's a kind of fundamental change in your access to information and education, which has massive impact on the whole world. And we tend to talk a lot about taking over tasks of architects, but what tends to happen when technology improves things, you can obviously make more, and however much we're building now, we can still build more, especially if sustainability challenges are tackled with a bit of technology too. But everybody would be happy having a bigger, better house. There's a whole cities that need rebuilding or retrofitting and everything. So it might be that just the kind of the output of architecture and building design goes way, way up. And because it's actually, you might look back and say, why did we build so little, so slowly? There's a housing crisis in pretty much every major country. So these things might start to get addressed. It's basically a big disruptor which changes the flow of many, many things.
Going back to education and how it evolved, like when I was at school, we used to do our research and in university on the internet. However, like my parents used to go to the library and search for books and spend so much time like to get a very small information. In our generation, it was a bit easier, but now, like in seconds, they can get so many information, and like everything is there for them. So I think it's evolving a lot, but I don't see it as a threat. I see it as a supportive tool.
I mean, I think to that we can all agree that it's a tool. Okay, let's move on to ownership. Where does ownership sit when design emerges from both human vision and machine generation? And how should the credit be shared, or should it?
That's a very, very important thing. But again, I think it comes down to your definition of design. What I think myself, if you control the narrative, if you own the narrative in a way, you control the credits. And is the ego a big part of it? Do you want to grasp onto the credit, or is AI, all the tools of AI, like our new colleagues? Because what we think of them now is, okay, I'll use ChatGPT for this, or Midjourney for that, or any sketch-to-image software in whatever, as a drafter, I remember when we were really young, we had those, I don't know how you call it, the guys who do the perspectives, the rendered perspectives with hand. This is a job that is not there anymore, 10, 15 years now. And maybe this will replace a little bit of rendering V-Ray or whatever, but 3D Max was never controlling the narrative, and it was never it never had the credit for it. You get my point? If you work on CAD, Maya, 3D, whatever you render on, it never was part of the credit. So I still think that the narrative, if we keep control over the narrative, we own the credit.
Let's say you don't credit the pencil that did you don't credit the pencil because of the sketch. You credit the human who created the sketch that used the pencil. I think maybe that's like a simile that I can use AI for.
That's a beautiful, simple way to put it. And I can see that everybody agrees, right?
Short and easy. Well done.
Another important one that we need to touch on. Can technology help democratize design? So bringing access and customization to more users, or does it risk creating a homogenized algorithmic style? Chris, take it away.
You know, my love for Midjourney, but it does look a bit samey. You know, if you can go down a road where there's lots of imagery that looks very similar. It has this sort of sheen to it that doesn't have character, and a lot of the times when we use it, is very quickly we go down you'll go down a dead end, because you won't be able to. I'm not quite sure how to describe, but you won't be able to remove that sort of sheen. It just it doesn't quite look the way it's. So it is a challenge, because as the technology advances, I'm sure that will get better, like the movie industry we were talking about earlier. But there is that aspect to it that we need to be careful of.
Andy?
I'm going to answer that yes, it does democratize design. give it a few different ways. One, in urban design, where there's massive amounts of data, I think there'll start being more and more cities design influenced by the data available, which is generated by people, and less by an individual sketching or directing. I think the process of prompting and making options and being reviewed with the client also kind of makes it a bit wider than a more traditional route of somebody sketching, somebody models, renders, presents. And then the final way is it does lower the barrier of entry to be an architect designer, which means there's going to be more people able to do it, and probably open it up to people from different backgrounds and things more easily as well. So I agree with what you're saying about you can get repetition through some tools. That's probably also been the case. But there's other ways in which it will actually democratize, because it's going from a more narrow sort of vein of creativity to a broader one.
I think that's a very exciting development. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris,
No, it's very easy to use, isn't it? Because it's prompt. Let's keep talking about sketches, because but it's actually not an easy skill. You have to learn it over time. But with the AI, it's very accessible. It's very easy and very quickly to understand how to use prompts. And I agree with that. But I think the democratizing aspect of it is it's interesting, but it's a challenging question.
Because of the role of AI in design and architecture, and all these, and how it helps society, that the world has a better understanding of the importance of the role of architecture and design?
As it's hard to architects have this. They either if we were all different engineers, engineers have a lot of input into design, and it'd be really interesting to hear an engineer's response to that. But yeah, again, it's another challenging question. I'm not sure.
Maybe that's one for next year. We'll keep next year in next Design Talks, day 3.
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to do this over again next year, so let's see where it takes us. All right, on to the risks. What risk do you see if designers lean too heavily on AI-generated solutions without embedding cultural, emotional, or contextual awareness? You spoke about this as well, Yasmin. What do you foresee? What are the risks on the horizon?
When we speak about AI as a competitor, then we think that it will overcome our creativity. However, using it to give us more options and expand possibilities, and then we can basically see if the outcome is still functional and rational, and basically resonate to human empathy. So that's the issue of basically we should I actually see AI like a scaffolding that support our ideas rather than seeing it a competitor to us. So that's it.
Risks on the horizon for designers who rely too heavily on
There's
AI?
a risk that clients think they can do it themselves.
That's a good one.
That's a
Yeah.
good one because something very interesting I've been thinking about is that maybe we need, or let me phrase it another way, the clients, which are the users of the built environment that we share and the spaces that we design, they are not, they understand what they want. And if you collapse the timeline, any topic, any hot topic, AI, sustainability, any disruptive thing that happened, we've always built sustainably. It's just the past 100, 150 years that people started introducing strange materials and strange concepts into the built environment, and then now we are back at it. AI will definitely have the drawbacks, and the clients and the users of the spaces will eventually understand how to understand a good, agile firm or designer or architect that will give a product that is timeless, or it's just a nice rendering on a billboard. You know, I'd say, because now it's a nice render on a billboard that sells.
Yeah, there's always that risk because, like you were saying earlier, Andy, you use AI a lot at the moment at the pre-concept stage, early stages. You create these amazing images, and you tend to open yourself up to some extent to a little bit of risk on functionality, because when you get to the next stage and you start to get to the detailed design stage, and the engineers are having sweaty palms because what you've sold is something that is perhaps not yet technologically achievable, and there is a risk that a lot of the work you do has that aspect to it on an early stage. One of many.
Yeah, like even before we used AI, at some point we had a challenge to maintain our concept design when started to coordinating with all the MEP and the structure. So I think like just taking the concept from AI as is, it's definitely not going to be functional.
I think for me, the risk is there when you take AI, when you let AI take the wheel from you. In my process, as I've mentioned, I do the sketches, or I do the concept, I do the thinking. I use AI as my tool, but I don't let it take the wheel from me. I am the person behind my vision. And in every project that I do, even though Midjourney comes up with 10,000 options, I have Veras and any other AI tool that we are using, Crea. When I ask myself, is this my design? And if the answer is yes, then I know I'm in the right path. But if that design, I wouldn't be submitting my client a full AI presentation without my vision, because that for me is cheating myself. I am trained to be an architect. I'm trained to have all these experiences and let my client experience the way my vision is. That for me is identity and authority over the design that I produce. Although I just have the AI with me helping me out to achieve that vision. As long as I handle the wheel, I don't have the risk on giving everything to AI. I think I'm not at risk of being lazy and just relying onto AI. I make sure that, it's with me, designing with me, we're in harmony.
So it's about integrity a lot as well. Yeah, I see. All right, so looking ahead now, what, in your view, does a balanced partnership look like between human essence and AI in design? Now and in the near future. It's a tool, yes.
It's true, yeah, it's true. I mean, I keep thinking about my children now. I'm getting all anxious about where their education is going. But no, I think the near future is difficult. I didn't mean to come across too pessimistic on certain topics, because I think what we've got is amazing, and what we've got the ability to do as designers, has been enhanced hundredfold. In the past 2 years. Again, just going back to what I've seen some of the teams in the office do, it's remarkable, and I really think we should be thinking positively about the near future, and how we as a collective, humans, artificial intelligence, or different consultants that use AI, we should be thinking positively about how that collaboration is evolving in the near term. Long term, I just don't.
Long term, we don't
Just
know.
don't know.
Yeah, it's the truth. Yasmin, how do you see
Going
it?
back to harmony, I think it's gonna be a duet. So basically, AI will give the scale, the precision, and the speed, while humans will give the spirit, the story, the storytelling, and the empathy. So it's not about anything erasing like AI erasing designers, but it's actually the harmony between both.
I like that you use the word spirit. It's the first time I hear it in this context, but actually that's so spot on. Yeah, yeah.
I think for
Christine?
me, it allows me to get back my time. Being a mother, juggling and then doing projects, leading business, all these things, AI allowed me to get most out of the time that I have, and which is interesting, and which is something that we all wanted. To focus on the things, not on the repetitive tasks, because AI can do those spreadsheets and repetitive things, even BIM. I can now focus on the vision which I am hired for. My idea would be there. I think it's me gaining more time for myself and even for the future, and even the architects of now or the future architects, they will get more time, which always isn't enough for us.
I can
You want to
relate.
say
I can
something?
relate to that. I mean, saving time as a working mom, yes, the 100%. For me, it's also I've always loved learning, so I have an opportunity to play a lot more. So I bump into a subject, and usually I would just run over it. But now I can research it, and sometimes, as I said, my prompt may be a page long, but in the morning, first thing I do is I read through all this, learn so many new things. May have nothing to do with my work or the industry or whatsoever, but that play and to be able to absorb so much more knowledge in such a as while I'm sleeping, that's just fantastic to me. Andy, go ahead.
So I think that another of the big benefits is it will save a lot of time. We stopped doing overtime anyway a few years ago because we wanted to focus on being really efficient and not waste time doing over options and things. But I think now there's less and less reason to be doing overtime if you have these tools that really take up a lot of that time-consuming production work. And eventually, I'm sure a 4-day week is already kind of happening, and it's in charge as a 4-day week. And I think is it Holland?
Yeah, we have
it's on the table in many
the
places.
Netherlands, all the Scandinavian. We have we all do only for.
So-
I don't know why this is not happening with us. We still work long hours.
I think they work towards it, but I mean, I must say that's such a positive change for our industry, where overtime is such a given, right? All right. On this subject, there are usually a lot of questions. I have about 5 minutes. So, who would like to go first? Oh, can we bring a microphone to the lady over there, please?
Hello, everybody. Fantastic conversation. My name's Alison from Design Insider. I think one of the things that has become really evident on the conversations that I've had whilst I've been at Index is that in Saudi Arabia there's a real importance within architecture and interiors to represent a authentic sense of place and the culture. Can AI accurately and holistically understand the culture of a specific city, region, or country?
Wow, good question. Thank you.
I think that very much depends on the person who's got the pencil, because it all comes from that. It all comes from layering in and spending a lot of time on those visuals, on the representation, and it comes from extensive knowledge of the region and of the culture of the place. AI can't do it. It needs that thoughtfulness and intellect from the people that are holding the pencil, for me at least.
I sometimes write prompts in other languages to deliberately tapping into cultures that are completely not mine, because I want to get away from that sense of the kind of narrower sense of creativity. And you get very interesting results, because all the AI is doing, it's been trained on images tagged with words. So if you want to to know what it's more like in a place, you just have to have a more local data set. Language is one way, but I think you have the same problem anywhere you're using. You have to try and adapt to local culture by either embedding yourself in it or working with people from that culture. But even using AI, because it's kind of globalized all the data out there, that's what it comes like prompting craft. You can the way you write your prompt can allow it to target a certain way, it's going to give you lots of options, and then you can iterate to get to where you want to be.
That's a really good tip, Andy. Thank you. To use other languages. Good one. Any other questions? Okay, well, then we're gonna wrap this session up. I thank There is one more?
Hello, hi, I'm an interior design student. My major concern is that interior design and AI is a big thing. So, what should be the change, or what should be a major thing to that the interior design educational system must incorporate so that the future designers can use AI and interior design in a better way? I mean, how to incorporate AI and interior design in the education system for the students?
Basically, there are some basics and technical stuff that you should learn. Like sometimes, for example, I don't know if some of you know that Photoshop also now have AI. So at some point I was like, please replace this wall with a digital screen. And it just put for me a PC screen. So this is something very simple. So it can also give you some spaces that actually are not rational. The scale is completely wrong. So if you don't have the basics and all the technical stuff from the beginning, AI will not help you. So basically learning AI along with all the technical stuff is the best practice for me.
We hired a graduate from Prince Sultan University here last year, and it was part of their course where they have to do 7 months in a practice before they graduate. And I think that was very helpful. And I think, again, in the big picture for education of designers, there needs to be much more kind of embedding of practice or overlap of academia and practice. Decades ago, so the apprenticeship was the way designers and architects learnt. And so I think there basically has to be more overlap so that technical construction knowledge comes in whilst universities helping build the very, very important part of design sensibility and the more kind of beaux art side of having a good eye, a good sense of space and colour and tone and everything, whilst learning the technical skills like AI, which is going to make the production side way, way, way easier.
Cool. All right, that answers your question, right? Lots to think about. Okay, cool. We're going to wrap this session up. I thank my fantastic panelists. Thank you, Andy, Christine, Hazem, Yasmin, and Christopher. Thank you so much. Let's give them a big applause, please.